Hello and welcome to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. I'm your host, Gary Morgan, wearing my Greensboro hat until they finally promote Connor Griffin to Greensboro, where he belongs. Jim Sam, how are you, brother?
Doing good, man. Hey, we weren't even going to talk about Connor Griffin, but let's just
threw you a curveball right at the beginning.
Let's just mention Connor Griffin. Like, he, long way to go, but man, just out of the gate, this kid and all of his talent and tools, and he's doing everything that we thought he could do right out of the gate. I don't know, man. Like it's going to be fun to watch him this whole journey.
I can't wait, man. And joining us for the first time guest here on the Pirates Fan Forum, Greg Fennel. How you doing, sir?
Great. How are you guys tonight? Thanks for having me.
We're great. I see the respect shown for Mr. Parker behind you. Very good stuff.
Yep. Got the Cobra.
Yeah, very good stuff.
That's a big time flex right off the gate.
It is. He's got an autograph on it and everything. Look at him.
Yeah.
70s style poster. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
You can't see it, but Richie Hebner pictures right over here.
We'll talk about going back in time, guys. We got to start talking about these freaking Bucko Bricks again. I can't believe that we're still discussing these Bucko Bricks, Jim. So it turns out what Travis Williams said earlier was BS. He didn't ever have a plan to do anything with these bricks for people. In fact, it was written into the contract with Dick Corp that they would gently tear these things up, pallet them, and present them to the Pittsburgh Pirates at a cost of $1,300 and $500, right?
$13,500 to be precise.
$13,500. And the Pirates were like, what do we want those for? Chuck them down the river. And so they chucked them down the river. And here's the thing. I honest to God believe Bob Nutting didn't know. Travis Williams has got to go, right? I mean, Greg, like, of all fireable offenses, you've embarrassed the boss. Then you lied about it in your PR campaign. Then you got called on it. And what's your quote say? The same exact thing. We've always cared and always will about these bricks. You can't be worse at PR.
Yeah, he's not being genuine, right? We if we didn't trust him before, we can't trust him now. And I'm on the same page with you about Bob. I'm guessing Bob didn't know, and I'm comfortable with that, because everything we hear about Bob, even though he doesn't make the best decisions, he feels like he's a steward for the ball club. He thinks he's the right person to carry this ball club forward. And I don't think he wishes ill will on the public at all. And so I'm with you. I don't think he knew about it. And Travis probably needs to be shown the door in whatever way is appropriate at this point.
Well, Jim, what do you think? Because you were passionate about the brick thing, and I think we kind of felt that he needed fired at that point. And now it's just gotten a little worse, right?
Yeah, well, it shows that they're pretty much, it just, look, this is the worst part about this, is it just confirms what people already believed to be true about the Pirates, right? That it's not just perception, it's reality. And they will do things that make 0 sense and then try to backtrack over it, cover it up, make it look nicer, and then turn around and tell you that they actually care. So that's why it's so damaging for their brand or whatever is left of it.
I just can't get past this quote. We know how meaningful the messages and tributes are. We are and always have been absolutely committed to ensuring these special messages and tributes live on at PNC Park. So they had them all on a pallet,
Shrink wrapped.
delivered to them. They care so much. And they said, take them down the river. Tell me how in the world you can put that quote out after being caught. I don't get it.
Well,
like,
the conclusion of
it's like the Menendez brothers trying to get out of jail all of a sudden.
I think some Pirate fans might take the Menendez brothers over Bob Nutting and Ben Sherrington at this point, and Travis Williams, by the way. But no, you look at this. What I loved about this, the conclusions of this independent investigation that were done, you could really tell in these like 3 paragraphs that they wanted to make sure everybody knew that this was solely on the Pirates. Nobody else had anything to do with this. Everything was set up. It was paid for. It was all arranged. And it was the Pirates and the Pirates alone who chose to take this route. And I'm glad they hammered them like that in that, because I wouldn't want my name attached to any of it either. So good for them.
Every step of the way, Greg, they feel like, well, we've answered it. We can put that issue behind us, right? But when you choose to try to deceive the public, you inevitably get caught in this trap where you slowly leak the truth out, hoping that the truth hurts you less if it comes out slowly, as opposed to just ripping the Band-Aid off, eating the crap sandwich that you rightfully earned, and moving on with your life.
Yeah, and if they would do that, like you just explained, rip the Band-Aid off, things would be better in the long run. I think, anyway, right? We've kind of all learned that in life. And yeah, a lie always gets figured out or comes out, whether it's a day, a month, a week, or a year, it always comes out. And especially, when you're a professional sports organization, my goodness, in some way, shape, or form, you're in the public eye every day, all day. How in the heck do you think you're ever going to try and hide stuff like that?
I don't know, but Jim, do you think they can find a professional sports organization to show them how to be? I'm just they don't act like that. At least this front office hasn't. Like, I'm more disappointed almost in Travis Williams than I am the rest of the staff, because he has the easiest job of all. Of all of them, he has the easiest job. He's not tangibly spending the money. You can't blame him for it. All he has to do is make things more fun at the ballpark, right? Yep. Invest and grow the business. That's it. Like, there's no real pressure on you to win or anything. You can say it. People want to hear you say it, but nobody cares if you think it's going to win, because you don't have any effect on it. You're the easiest job out of the Three Stooges here. Yeah,
no, all he has to do is show up and make sure these the pretzels are warm, and the bathrooms are clean and all this, because that's, let's be honest, it's pretty much what fans think he does anyway. So I said this: Derek Shelton got fired for on the field performance. Travis Williams can be fired for off the field performance. And I don't see it any differently than that. Whether it's truly their fault or not, that's what happens with stuff like this. I think if Bob wants to if Bob's truly upset and he's embarrassed, and then you put your foot down on something like this and say, that will never happen again. And the person that is responsible for it on paper paid the price for it.
Now we have to take a break. Do you think that's the last time we'll be talking about this kind of brick? I'm hoping.
I hope so, time. but nobody wants their name attached to this. So if anybody gets blamed, it's going to be the Pirates.
Absolutely. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about another crazy subject. The Pirates should absolutely not even consider trading Paul Skenes. I'm not burying the lead. That's what we're coming back with.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Jim, I'm going to start us with a little bit of a diatribe because I'm irritated about this. Paul
Hold on,
Skenes,
wheel in the soapbox. Wheel in the soapbox. Here we go.
This Paul Skenes trade-a-rama that's going on in the national media. Well, here's where it comes from, folks. Much like you think baseball is broken, they think baseball is broken. They just don't think it's broken in the same way you do. See, to them, great talents deserve to be on great teams. Not just eventually, like what actually happens, Jim, but always. Teams like the Pirates, they don't deserve them, you see? And even if they did, what was requested, spend a little more, it wouldn't be enough. To them, teams like the Dodgers or Mets or Yankees, they're put together the way they are on the backs of their superior intellect and nothing more. See, if Bob Nutting were to spend $387 million next year, the market would surely grow to the point where he could afford it again next year, right? It's not the way they think it is. That's all I'm going to say. How about a couple Jeff Passan quotes? He's my favorite. And I think I'll probably read it in the smug voice that I picture him saying everything in. It's not just Paul Skenes who deserves better. It's Pittsburgh Pirates fans who deserve better. Passan explained. They deserve a system that allows teams to keep great players. In some cases, guys will stay with small market teams. We've seen that, Jim. We've seen it. Jose Ramirez, the only one I can think of. Got another? I can't think of any. Let me see if I can get through this. What incentive does Paul Skenes have to extend with the Pirates when the Pirates haven't shown the willingness from Bob Nutting all the way down or the ability to bring in guys who are going to make this team better? The Pirates haven't shown that they are worthy of Paul Skenes. So, you know how you show sympathy for Pirates fans? Apparently, you take away a generational talent. A year into his career, you moron. You absolute pedantic moron. Which one of you wants to go? Follow that up.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this, Greg, real quick, and then I'm going to let you run with it. Passan is not stupid. He knows how to frame arguments that kind of throw you the bone, but he gets to stay on the point that he wants to make, which is those guys need to be in places where they're appreciated and deserved and whatnot. And he'll throw in the system needs to be in place, spends no time on that, just says that. Pirates fans need to be happy when their team is trying hard, or however he wants to say it. He knows exactly how to phrase this to still get to be what he wants to say. Greg, what do you think of guys like Passan and his ilk?
Yeah.
And be careful because you might have them on your show sometime.
That's true. Anybody have a contact info for Jeff?
1-800-WINO-RS.
There you go. Yeah. You know, the more that you listen to, I guess, national media, right, is the word we're using for folks like him. They're looking for notoriety, in my opinion, so that they can continue, right? Because that notoriety is important for them to keep their job. And instead of talking day-to-day baseball stuff, and maybe if there's not anything there, let's create it. That's another thing,
Yeah.
Jeff. You know, especially in this case, why I haven't heard anything around here, and around here I mean the Burgh or Pennsylvania, about needing to trade Skenes. So why is Jeff Passan even bringing it up in Skenes' second year? Now we know, okay, what, year 4, year 5, maybe we're going to have to deal with hearing that, but actually I hope the reverse happens, right? Let's build around this guy. Now, I don't think I want to give Charrington $387 million to steal your example, Gary, but maybe there's a way to do this, or not. Maybe it has to wait for the salary cap. I'm not sure, but Skenes wants to be a winner, right? Sure, making money comes along with that, and he's going to deserve it, but maybe there's something different about him, and we don't have to break the bank to keep him. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think like overall, the thought from Passan here, I think it's a misguided belief. I think there's a misguided belief that guys stay for anything other than money for the most part. And I really do think Jose Ramirez is the only guy I can think of right now who has stayed for way less than he could get on the open market in a small market because he likes it and he's comfortable. But like, think about somebody like Tarek Skubal. Is he staying in Detroit even if they win the next 2 World Series? I don't think so. We do deserve a system that supports that. But
the funny part about all this is on its face, how ridiculous baseball is when these conversations are starting now, when he really hasn't barely even had a full season's worth of starts to his name. What other sport is such a train wreck that this could be brought up and be treated as a legitimate solution or a scenario than baseball? It's totally absurd. And the other part of this is when you talk about Paul Skenes and getting him to sign, it's a big difference between Bobby Witt Jr. signing for a couple $100 million and what it would take to sign Paul Skenes. So I mean, like, the player caliber and the money that would be involved could be very different depending on when that would happen. So baseball is ran so stupidly that we actually have to talk about this on May 15th of Paul Skenes' second year because of the way it's run.
Well, I mean, and John Gorman brings it up here. Sadly, this was a conversation when we drafted Skenes. That's why I've always hated this system of Major League Baseball. He's absolutely right. It's one of the first thoughts we had, Jim, was we were going to have him for his rookie deal, really. And that's what we anticipated. Let's talk about really why this is dumb right now. It's not dumb as far as like the idea that you could get a bunch of players for him, right? The only reason that I think this team is close enough to even fix, or we feel it's close enough to fix, is that Paul Skenes is here. I mean, like, for real, pretend we didn't draft him. Say we got Dylan Cruz. Maybe you have a solidified outfield right now. But you don't have that ace, do you? I mean, we're waiting for it right now. We're going, okay, Bubba's going to get here, and then it's really going to get good. But Keller's our ace until then, right? I mean, so like without Paul Skenes, are we even pretending that we're a couple bats away? I don't think so. And I think if you trade him, you have to replace him. I mean, you'd have to get another controllable starter back for that at least has a couple years of control. You'd have to get a shortstop or an outfielder, because if you don't fill one of those holes, what are you even doing? And I'm talking those got to be major league players. Like right now, major league players, not maybe major league players, not could be next year, not, oh, if you give them a shot. Major league players. And then probably a couple prospects on top of that. That's not out there. It's just not.
It's not. And it reminds me of like was it Family Guy when Peter Griffin was willing to give up? He had something and was willing to give it up, and he had a boat and he was willing to trade it in to see what else it could be. And he was like, who knows? It may even be a boat. You already got the boat. Like, what are we doing? Like,
you don't win a trade like this.
No, you never would. You
and we
never
won't
would.
win it. We won't win it when we eventually have to do it if they don't extend him. But you can at least have enjoyed him for 4 or 5 years first. That's the only advantage that you get for stinking in baseball, is getting a high draft pick and maybe getting one of these thunder gods that come along every once in a while. And when you get it, you try to do everything you can to hold on to it, even if you got to give them part ownership in the team. So I don't want to hear about trading him in year 2. I'm sorry. And it's asinine to bring up. And it's getting fired over every fence there is right now.
Does it have legs in the city? I mean, so the national media we know is talking about it, but does this story have legs in town?
The only reason it has legs in town is the lack of faith in this ownership group. Not, and it's because, like, I could name anything that we find stupid. Flat Earth, 2 + 2 = 5, whatever dumb thing you want to bring up. And I said, Bob Nutting would never do that because it's really dumb. They'd go, oh yeah, I will. You don't understand how dumb Bob is. And he wants to lose, Greg. He wants to lose.
Gary, have you never been a Pirate fan? That's how this conversation goes.
We're afraid to enjoy him too, right? I think that's another thing. We're afraid to enjoy Paul
that's a good
because
point.
he's going to get pulled out from under us, maybe, right? Or most likely, probably to every Pirate fan.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's funny you mentioned about enjoying him. I think that's why when you talk about Skenes and him announcing he was going to do the World Baseball Classic next year, you know, I immediately thought, oh, this will be interesting. I'll put a poll out and I'll see, like, hey, does that make Pirate fans nervous? Are you okay with him doing this and whatever? And I got to say, it was like, I'm very rarely super surprised by the results. But in this case, I really was. It was 200 some votes. I think like 75% of people were like, hell yes, I'm glad he's doing it. And 12% or 13% said, hell no, I don't want him doing it. And then 12 or 13% basically said, I have mixed feelings on it. I do have mixed feelings on it because I do worry about something weird happening and him getting hurt. But overwhelmingly, and I think that speaks to the love of Paul Skenes in the sense that people want to just see him compete and win. And if that means it's not with the Pirates and in this showcase, they're still kind of cool with it.
I like what
it's
John
surprising.
here says, we've been taught as Pirates fans to never truly be happy. Speaking as a 90s kid, that's sadly the mentality. Damien says that's a great point about not really being able to enjoy Paul Skenes because we know he will not be with us for longer term. Yeah, I mean, that's the assumption. And I think, Jim, maybe that feeds into your poll results. Maybe people are so resigned to the fact that it's only going to be this little window. Let's have everything fun we could possibly have. Every trinket possible. Yeah. Like, remember years ago when people were fretting about somebody good hitting in the home run derby because it'll screw up their swing and then they'll suck for the rest of the season. And there's a little bit of something behind that because it does seem to happen an awful lot. But like I could argue Vladdy Guerrero sucked for an entire year after he won that thing. But I mean, like, maybe there is something to that where they feel it's so short term. It's basically like, let's ride this mule till it collapses, right? And I see a lot of people get upset when he gets pulled out at like 110 pitches and whatnot. They're like, he was still going. He still had. And I'm like, why would you do, because I'm just thinking, like, in general, why would you do that to him? Why would you think? But now something just clicked from this conversation. Maybe that's it. They don't care about him because he's going to be a Yankee or he's going to be a Dodger by the time, you know what I mean?
Right. And I think where this conversation or this poll would take an interesting turn in is what if they were doing really well? The Pirates, and there was something to play for at the
You'd
end
have to
of
hand out
each
mushrooms
year.
so they could see it, Jim. They'd have to open their third eye to. They'd have to open their third eye to see that, my friend.
Well, you know what I'm saying though, like what would be the or next year, like let's say they were just, you know, on the up and you can see it coming, and then next year was going to be the year. Would people be more selfish with Paul Skenes at that point? Would Pirate fans be more selfish? I think you might see that, but I think they're thinking, what do they have to lose at this point?
Or Greg, what if they deferred like money out for 20 years and gave him 5% ownership in the Pirates or whatever? Like I'm making things up.
Yeah.
Let's say that that's the kind of heaven and earth you have to move to have him stay here. I mean,
and maybe that's
would that change people's opinion? And they're like, yeah, he's not doing nothing extracurricular. I don't even want him signing autographs with his right hand.
So a couple things, maybe we need somebody with creativity, just like you alluded to, you know, to how do we keep this person signed differently than the traditional way of doing it. And then second, I was thinking through something here. What if, I don't know if opposite's the right word. What if it's a different approach? What if, so Skenes seems like a confident person and player, right? That's the gist that I get from watching from afar. That he's got a lot of confidence in himself, not arrogance, but confidence. What if we're starting to be, what if he's influencing us? We're confident in him. And if he says he can go pitch in the WBC and he's going, and that's fine. It's not a worry to him that makes us more comfortable. We're becoming more confident.
Well,
Which
it's
is
Captain America.
Captain
America decided to run into the crowd of people and everybody gets behind him, right? I mean, I think he's got that kind of aura. I mean, a couple other things I think about this, Jim, like he talked early on about potentially really wanting to fly still. I mean, he wants to go back and serve the country. You can't do that past 32. So maybe he's not planning on a really long career. I mean, I would think the money might change his mind and, you know, the supermodel girlfriend might change his mind, but we'll see. I mean, he doesn't seem like a guy that changes his mind, and he doesn't seem like a guy that changes his commitments either.
Probably not. But then what I go to, at least off the top of my head with that is does that place a priority on winning sooner and wanting to be in situations where if he knows he's not going to be pitching, you know, for X number of years, that he wants to put himself in a good position to do that and in the right organization where while he is there, he wants to win. We all know that about Paul Skenes.
True.
So, you know, I keep hearing this thing. Not everybody, people saying like he hates it here. Paul Skenes hates it here. Where is that? What about Paul Skenes and the way he operates? Don't project how you would handle it and how a cyborg handles it. It's two totally different things. 3-4 years down the road, if this is the same situation, is Paul Skenes going to be less than content being a Pittsburgh Pirate? Absolutely. Do I think there's even a shred of that right now? No, I think that's ridiculous. I really do.
I don't either, because I think a lot of these kids, they come in and they're resigned to the fact that they're going to be there for a couple of years, especially if they're a good player. They know they're not going anywhere for a minute. You know, they know what they're here for. I don't think there's a lot of them that come in and start moping right away. Garrett Cole did. I will say that. Garrett Cole started moping after year 3. And he led himself to get traded early because he made it clear he was going to make a stink in arbitration. You know what I mean? He knew he was going to make a scene out of it. I still contend they traded him too early. But I just don't think that's this kid. I really don't. And I think he's really, really tight with a lot of this pitching group too. That's going to be around for a minute.
I look at everything we see, like we know and see and hear from Paul Skenes right now, not even on his radar. It's just not.
Look what Dave wrote. Who are they going to have to trade to get bats they need? Keller is not going to do it. Dave, you are very underestimating what Keller's worth is on the market. Very. I've got an article on Steel City Pirates if you'd like to go read it. I'm underestimating what I can get for him. and I think it's going to be 2 decent players. He's got a lot of team control, and he's a good player with a cheap contract. He's worth a lot more than you think, and especially after how he just pitched. I don't understand how any Pirates fans talking like that at all. You're smarter than that for sure. I know that. Let's do call your shot. What do you say, guys? And I think we have to get Taylor to get back in the room and start doing funny stuff again, because we may have, with my Tinder comment last week, I may have shied him up, Jim. I don't want that.
Man.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another week of Call Your Shot. I'm Taylor at Shop Yins. Excited to talk some ball here with Gary and Jim, and we got a good question, tough question from our boy Andy Piranish. He wants to know, does Cutch remain in Pittsburgh, or is there a real conversation that he ends up in Atlanta or somewhere else that needs a outfielder? We just gave it to Atlanta. That was nice. Good hard-fought series against the Mets, but we're still at the bottom dwellers here, and I would hate to see Cutch leave again, but maybe it's the conversation that we had. What do you guys say? Thanks, guys. Hey, don't forget to stop over at shopyins.com. Online only right now, but all your gear for the black and gold year round. Got the rock and the hat here. Goes very well with the Pirates jersey, and got some new tees coming out here soon. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next week.
Changing the game, spitting that flame. His name is I got that Pittsburgh sound, and I'ma always hold Pittsburgh down.
All right, so that was Shop Yins and Call Your Shot and Should We Trade Cutch? We just talked about Paul Skenes, which is ridiculous. Cutch is not as ridiculous, although it's really easy to kind of flatly say no when you kind of know some stuff. So I'll be quiet and start with Greg. Should they trade Andrew McCutchen?
I don't think so. I think it's real close to as ridiculous as trading Skenes, but just for a different reason, right? Why? What really is the benefit of trading him? I can't imagine we're going to get a prospect back, right?
Right.
And I don't know. I think my experience over the last few years is it's probably going to be a lower level prospect. Also, what good does it do the team now? And I think what goes along with that is also, is it the right word to say, the ill will of trading someone like McCutchen, and how that impacts the community, and how the organization might be viewed at that point. It's even worse.
Jim, what do you think, brother?
Oh, it's a good question. This is how I look at it. Just even from let's just say you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, nothing. Just question, face value. I go to Cutch and ask him. That's just, if Cutch wants to chase something, you would do whatever you needed to do to help Cutch do that. He's never won anything in the postseason. He hasn't had much success in the postseason, almost none. So if he wanted to do it, or if I'm the Pirates and I got calls about Cutch, I would take those to him. I would say, hey, this is don't say no, thank you, hang up the phone. Give him the respect to say, hey, we are getting calls about you. Is this something you're interested in? No? Great. We wanted to let you know.
Okay, so here's where I bring in my part. He's here because of Nutting, period. Charrington already wouldn't have brought him back twice. So the agreement is pretty much, I'll come back for less than I can make, but you're not sending me anywhere. This is the last place I play baseball. He's here for his kids, man. He's not here for money. He's here for his kids and this baseball team, and believe it or not, as much as we all hate him, this owner, who he has a great relationship with. It's the only reason he's here. Period. I just don't think it's even something that'll even be approached. I don't think Charrington would be allowed to approach it.
It'd be interesting. The only scenario I can
This is
see
why,
is
too, what Giga Monster says. Talk about a PR disaster. That would make Bucko Bricks look like a grain of sand.
Well,
And
that's
no,
why
I think we're beyond fans understanding anymore, Jim.
that's why I
don't
think
think
it
it can
would
happen.
be important that if Cutch just decided, like, hey, the Dodgers called, they've had whatever, they had some injuries, whatever. And he decided, you know what, for the next 3 months, I'd like to do this. If Cutch was the one that said that, I think Pirate fans would understand. I do.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to say it, but I hear you. Yeah, I hope we answered the question. I could see there being a market for him. I think he's a good enough player that I think some people would consider him help. But I just don't think the Pirates are going to do it. I don't even care if they were like threatening the White Sox record. It's just not something they want to do. And
to Greg's point, the return would be so minimal. It's just, why would you even do it unless Cutch said, I'd like to go. I'd like to try it.
I would agree. So let's take another quick break. And when we come back, let's start talking about some players that are coming back here soon, Jim, because there's some exciting stuff going on. And hopefully it'll kind of start turning the fortunes around a little bit.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Greg and Jim and Gary with you. We talked about a bunch of stuff already. Let's talk about some more good stuff. Spencer Horwitz is looking good in the minors, and I only know what he did today, 3 out of 4 with a home run, because our buddy Austin, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, decided to smack good old clown boy Bob Smizik over the head for his tweet a couple weeks ago when he was talking about his first 2 games of rehab, where he said, this bum's only hitting 112. He'll fit in great. Austin said, now he's hitting 350. Where's your tweet? I love it. I love it.
Didn't age well, huh?
But hey, a real first baseman, he really can truly play the position. Looks like he's going to hitting pretty decent. I certainly think he's going to help, Jim. What do you do with him when he comes back? I think before he got hurt, most of us thought he might be a leadoff candidate. I don't see that now with Cruz, but what do you do with him?
I mean, I know people had suggested that. I never saw him doing that. I always thought that they would try to get him down on the lineup a little bit, just to try to lengthen the lineup a little and hope that maybe there's a little bit more power in his game this year in PNC Park. My question would be is, how much do you play him against lefties and righties? That's where I think it was really going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. He's going to help them. I mean, he's a better hitter than 4 or 5 guys we see them trot out there on most nights. But yeah, that's where it comes down to me, is how they can do it. Is it a platoon situation? Are they going to let him play fully and just see how he does?
I mean, Greg, I happen to think they're probably going to start him out as a starter, period, and see what he does against both, because it really hasn't been even experimented with much in the majors. I could see them doing it for a while, and then if it doesn't go well, they have righty options, and they'll just funnel it off. But either way, there's way more right-handed pitchers. So, I mean, for the most part, he's going to play just about every day. What do you think? Are you looking forward to it? You think he's going to have an impact?
I think he'll definitely have an impact if he continues what he's been able to do in the minors, or at least a semblance of it, right? So I think they should make him a starter. I think he should play every day. I don't know off the top of my head. Do you guys know? Is he playing every day in the minors? Is he facing righties and lefties in the minors? Do you guys?
Yeah, but he's
Okay.
on rehab, so that's pretty normal.
Right. Okay.
They don't play matchups really with rehabs.
Right. So yeah, I think they, just like you said, I think they have to make him a starter and have him in there every day and see what happens. Why not? Isn't that what we want them to do with other young players? Bring them up, let them play, and see what happens. So
Certainly need somebody that can hit with runners in scoring position. My God, Jim, it's
right,
so
just
bad
basic,
right
right?
now. That said, before we
Well,
bum everybody
yeah.
out, we should talk about things that are good, right? I mean, we had a week now of Don Kelly, and I want to just talk about what we're seeing differently. Like, what is going on with this team? Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, we all heard that quote that he had right before he went on the IL with Derek Shelton and everything. You know, he was all bummed out about the way the team was and what he was disappointed since he's here. So maybe he's going a little over the top with this quote because he knows that one kind of went somewhere. But, you know, he's talking about playing great baseball the last couple of games. Obviously, on like that tough bounce to me didn't go our way. He's talking about that one that hit second base that eventually got turned into a hit. But we're playing our game. This is the Pirates I envisioned at the beginning of the year when I got traded here. I think DK's keeping everybody loose, and I think we're all just rallying around him. It feels that way, man. The game's been more competitive. The baseball's been more intelligent in general. There's no way that he smartened them all up in one day. Okay? So, you know what I mean? Like when you see those dumb things that happen all the time, and all of a sudden those dumb things stop happening, it isn't because everybody just got IQ injections or something. Something changed in that room. Do you believe it's Don Kelly?
I think anytime a team is just completely flatlined, like the Pirates had, like the Walking Dead, right? Like there was zero energy, no focus, just it looked like a dead clubhouse, and that's kind of the word that was coming out of there, which was, and maybe even to the point where some guys had checked out already. There can be some injection of energy from that. I think what it really comes down to is what does this look like a month or two from now? You know, like after there's been a lot of games under his belt, and what those games have looked like, right? If they go into another stretch where they can't win any games because they're losing every game by 1 run or 2 runs, like what happened last year. But they look better initially. So that's what I have to give him credit for. They look like they're being more aggressive. Looks like the lineup is being toyed with more. And I think that's all people wanted, which was, God, try something. Don't keep doing the same things over and over and over. At least that appears to be happening.
Plus, Greg, he keeps sitting Tommy Pham, so that's an automatic win, right? I mean, like that's the right thing to do.
Yep. I recognized that last night. I kind of said to myself, hey, I think this is 3 or 4 games in a row that Pham hasn't played.
Well, he's brought him in as a defensive sub a couple times,
Okay.
But yeah.
And that struck me though, right? Because okay, is Donnie the one saying, Tommy, you're going to sit? And kind of going back to, I just had this thought while Jim was talking. Is it possible that the immediate impact of the change is like an addition by subtraction thing? That Shelty is no longer there, regardless as to whether it's Donnie or somebody else. Is that what the immediate impact is? But then to your point, Jim, long term, it could be or will be, what's the manager doing differently than the previous manager?
Because I see things like, I'm not going to say that I see like efficient small ball or anything. He still hasn't figured out or cracked the code for how to score runs without power.
Yeah.
There's not much to do there besides just say, get a big hit. You have to at some point get a big hit. And a manager ain't going out there and hitting. In fact, Donnie might be able to. But I think for the most part, it's putting them in position to win, making moves that make sense. Like, did you notice how little he used Colin Holderman trying to be competitive in those games. He's the one that's struggling the most. And rather than just using him because he's supposed to be a back end guy, Donnie was just like, yeah, sorry, man, I'm using this other Sugart dude. I like the way he's going right now. I think he's done that with a few things. Canario, he's made a decision. I'm gonna see what this kid is. Period. And they're giving him the autonomy to do it. Again, maybe that's as simple as Ben Cherington's like, okay, Don, you do whatever you want. Or maybe he's been told, stay out of Don's kitchen and let him cook. Because even the analytics, Jim, he's following them, but he's allowing his eyes to change things. He's like letting Barecki stay in for an extra inning, because he needed that. Letting Sugart go 2 and 3rd because he needed it. Making smarter decisions like that.
Falter didn't have it. It's time to get him out of the game, right? Things like that. So asking certain guys to execute bunts when they should, and for the most part, they've done it. All comes down to the players executing, though, right? So, look, I don't want to make Don. Obviously, Don Kelly's a Pittsburgh guy. I want him to do well. I think they can relax a little bit. He's not John Wooden. Like on the telecast, like dial it back a little bit. But overall, it's hard to argue with the results. They look like they have more life to them, and the games have been closer. Is that a win when your season's going like it has been? Yeah, it is.
3-3 against the Braves and Mets, and you say what you want about where the Braves are this year and the way they've performed. But they're still the Braves. They're still a heck of a lot more talented than you are. They're still supposed to be one of those competitors for the World Series. The Mets are playing out of their minds. They're hitting everything and killing everything with their pitching. And the Pirates somehow went in there and outscored them. They only won the one game, but they were in all 3 of those. And that top 3, that murderer's row, they took care of them.
They did. And I will say this with the Braves games, the Braves, they started out 0-7. So this team is still very talented, and they're going to be one of the few ones I think that actually overcome a start like that. So yeah, I mean, they played competitive baseball. And here's the other thing is Spencer Horwitz, Gonzalez is going to be starting rehab soon. Jared Jones will eventually come back. They're probably going to look like a better version of whatever they are naturally as this plays out. So I think Don Kelly will probably have a little bit better results just because of that, truthfully.
Not going to save Ben Cherington's job, but it could save Donnie Kelly's. If they were to hire internally, if they were to just basically replace the figurehead internally with the GM, you could see Donnie Kelly surviving that. If they go outside, no way. No way. Outside, I think you would definitely get somebody new.
Definitely. And I just like when we're talking about this stuff, of course, what's Dave say here? Dave, games have been close without Cruz and without Reynolds hitting. Right. Justin here says they still can't hit. Manager is a minor issue. Cherington is the biggest issue along with Nutting. Front office and managerial staff is like musical chairs on the Titanic. Justin, we know that. We're not going to talk about the obvious. That's the obvious stuff. I really want to get away from that. And I'm not trying to pick on Justin, maybe a little. Can we not talk about the obvious when we're on Twitter or social media or doing these? Everybody knows that. We're talking about the other aspects of it, fully aware of the situation. Everybody knows that.
You got a flat tire, you still got to get to pit row somehow. That's the point.
Yes.
We're still finishing the season and talking about baseball. There's still things happening. And Don Kelly is a local guy. Last thing I want to give you an opportunity to talk about on a local guy, though, Jim, because I have no standing at all on this because I couldn't care less. Mac Miller bobblehead. Are you excited?
Yes.
And the only reason I ask is because I literally have tried like hell to like his music. My kids like him. You like him. Everybody and their mother has tried to get me to try it. People act like he's Jesus or something. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't like it. It's not for me. So do tell. How exciting is this, Jim? And I promise I won't scoff at you.
Well, about a year and a half ago, I did suggest that the Pirates should do this. It's nice to see that every once in a while they do listen. And it's like everything, right? Music, different types of music, different types of musicians aren't for everybody. I'm not a country music fan. It would be like if I don't even know any country.
Well, I don't like Wiz
artists.
Khalifa either.
Yeah,
but I know that one song, and okay,
right.
I can dig it. I don't even have that for Mac Miller.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like I hear people like, "Oh, he's playing Dookie Spawned in the Pool. Oh, that's the best song ever," and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I try really hard to, and it's just one of those dudes. I don't like Rush either. I don't like Dave Matthews Band. There's a lot of them like that, okay? But this one in particular, people treat like he's Pittsburgh royalty or should be up on Mount Washington instead of like the Iron City sign, and I don't get it. So that's why I'm asking you to tell the people why this is so culturally awesome, Jim.
I think you're looking at a guy that was totally self-made. He had no ins to the music business, did all of this himself, worked hard, a very Pittsburgh-like mentality, and along the way, always championed Pittsburgh in everything he did, even to his tattoos that he had, to giving Pittsburgh shout-outs and songs, to putting Pittsburgh on the map, so to speak, with some music. So in for a certain group of people, and I'm an older person in this group, I think he was an extremely talented musician, not just a rapper. And that's where I'll leave it. I'm thrilled that they're doing it. I really am.
Are you excited about it, Greg? Are you going to travel your way to Pittsburgh to get one?
Yeah, I don't see that happening. No. No, I'll have to learn more about Mac myself because music isn't high on my priority list, and possibly my young adult kids will shake their head if they're watching now. Or
my kids hate when I go off on Mac Miller because they love him. No, the funny thing is they used to do the same about Post Malone to me, and I never got it. And then like the last 5 or 6 years, I've started to get Post Malone, and I understand some of it. I still don't like the old stuff they tried to get me to like, but I like some of the newer stuff. So I'm going to his concert, even though it costs way too freaking much money. But here we got another question from Justin. Let's give him another shot. Do they hold guys like Chandler down in the minors for Super 2 reasons? Well, sometimes they do. I think they did O'Neal Cruz, but I don't think they've done it since.
I think that's a legitimate question though this year.
It's a legitimate question, but we're way far away from that still.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to get called up this homestand. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe that to be the case. I think they have him on the Paul Skenes plan. Just last year, they ignored it for Paul Skenes. They ignored it for Jared Jones. They ignored it for Carmen Majinski. They ignored it for, really everybody but O'Neal Cruz is the last one I can think of that was a big one that you'd care about. Don't get me wrong. Like Nick Gonzalez, I don't even remember. I don't.
And there was still some question with Cruz in the sense of yes, we all thought it was there, but it was a little bit raw, right? It was still there.
I still think they probably were holding him for Super 2.
Yeah, yeah.
It felt like
I do too.
To me.
Skenes, Jones, Chandler, these guys are just absolutely showing that they're ready. You know what I mean? How long can you hold someone down who's just, what are you going to do with him? He's also going to clean toilets while he's down there. He's ready.
I mean, Greg, I can't say that they're not for sure with Chandler until they do what they're going to do with him. I just think recently they have shown they don't care about it. So it would be a little bit of a departure if suddenly they did.
I don't think it's their primary reason or their primary plan for folks like Chandler. I think with Chandler, it has more to do possibly with the success of the plan that they had with Skenes. They saw that it worked. The timing there worked with him. So, hey, let's try to do the same thing with Bubba. No, he's not on the same level as Skenes is, but I think he's proving that he's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think he's coming up in the homestand, and just to take it a step further. So Bubba comes up, does well. Jones comes back and stays healthy. Now that's when somebody gets traded, right? Whether it's Jones or Keller, because aren't you starting to get too full in the pitching staff when you need help, on the hitting side, and
Yeah.
Just a
I
thought.
mean, I think it would have to be like if a trade came along this year that made sense. At the deadline, sometimes those are tough, especially if you're selling somebody with a lot of term, because the people that are buying at the deadline, they're what? Good teams.
Right. They're trying.
And they're not looking to give up what the Pirates need, major league talent in return. You can do things like that in the off season. Plus, I don't want Cherington doing it. And I'm pretty sure he's going to stick around this whole season just because that seems to be what Bob's going to do. But I'm not sure I want him making those major trades.
Right.
Let's do a couple more questions, too.
It puts them in a tough position because you want them to be proactive. But Ben Cherington's going to have to be the one that would do that.
That's why I think the only one I'd be proactive on is Bednar. And because you can trade as many other rentals as you want. I don't care. Heaney, all that. I expect all that. But if you're going to trade Bednar, he's still got a year of control. That's going to take a little bit of nuance. And yes, if he's pitching the way he is, because I still see people saying that he sucks now. Just since he's come back, 11.2 innings, 2.31 ERA. 1 walk, 18 strikeouts. Bednar's back. I don't know that he's going to stay back, and I'm not extending him. So he gone. Trade him this year. Definitely don't make the same mistake you made last time and try to take him to arbitration. But that's the last risky move I want Cherington making before he's gone. Everything else, push to the offseason. You want to do a Keller trade, do it then. It's too late to help this team in that way. You're not going to make that big trade to turn this thing around.
Right. The only reason I would do it with Keller at the deadline is if some team got a little bit desperate and it was too good to pass up. Then I think you do it. Otherwise, carry it to the offseason.
I would have to agree with that. Let's see. Bruce Nesbitt says Solak's hitting 393. Why hasn't he got a shot? I don't know. I spent last year doing a lot of this same conversation about Miguel Andujar. They need offense. They refuse to call it up from the minors, especially if it's one of these guys. Here's my problem with this whole thing. Like, we just got this Michael Hellman that we picked up. I think he's 28 or 29 years old or something. He's a Judy hitter. He's got a little bit of major league experience. There's nothing special about this kid. Like, he can play center field. That's about the only skill set I can pull out that they might have actually been interested in. But he's not a major leaguer. He's just not. He's another utility hitter that doesn't hit for any power, that is going to sit in the minor leagues. Why give him a 40-man spot when Nick Solak, the same exact freaking player, is hitting 393? Just call him up. I don't care if it lasts a week. Like, if it lasts a week and you're like, you guys are stupid. You shouldn't have told us to call him up. There really was never anything here. He is just a career minor leaguer. Let's let him go. Nobody's going to care. But what people do care about is watching somebody put eye-popping numbers up in the minors, be the international player of the month, and just sit down there while your team can't hit. Why hasn't Nick Solak been called up? Besides that he's 30 and has no future here. Just for this year. I mean, Greg, why don't you start? Why would you not call that guy up?
The only reason I can think of off the top of my head is that there's a detail somewhere, right, that we're not aware of or we can't see, that they're able to predict for some reason when he comes up, he's just not going to be able to compete. But that's certainly not what's being, seen in the minors. Otherwise, I can't think of a reason.
Jim, what do you think?
only be
These things
positive.
happen all the time. Every year we talk about these things. Andujar was the one I pulled up as an example. I think Jake Lamb was doing it last year too. Jake Lamb was crushing it, and people wanted him up here. Now it's Nick Solak. Why don't they bring these people up?
Well, it's funny. You look at Nick Solak, before I even get to that, he's got a career 700 OPS, in any games that he has played. Not a ton. Looks like he's got, 865 total at-bats in the majors. 700 OPS. They can do a lot worse than that, and they are.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why would you not have? And it's probably too late now because you've got Horwitz coming back.
Right.
You've got, you're gonna now that I'm saying, like, he's been hitting like this for a month and a half. You haven't been able to hit all season. Why would you not have made that call? Why would you not have brought him up here? Like, even when Nick Gonzalez went down, because he can play a little second base, wouldn't that have been better than Adam Frazier every single day? I'm just asking a question here. I'm not claiming that Nick Solak's great. I'm not claiming to know that he would do awesome up here. I'm just saying, how do you, as a team executive, watch your team struggle to do anything offensively for a month and have a guy hitting almost 400 in the minors and not bring him up?
Because an analytic somewhere said he not going to make it in the majors, huh? Is that a possibility that there's a report somewhere?
I think it's proven out he's not going to make it in the majors.
Yeah.
But I don't care if it's a death rattle. Bring him up for 2 weeks. See what he does. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy Gorski's up here. I think that was a good move, and they need power way more than they need what Nick Solak does. And he's having Indianapolis home runs, not home runs.
Yeah. They could do it. Like you said, the timing now starts to get a little weird because, first of all, Gonzalez will be back hopefully soon. We know Horwitz is on the cusp. They're giving Canario hopefully a little bit of a run here. Just in general, there are less at bats to be had, hopefully. But yeah, in this situation, when you're this bad offensively and you can't score runs, literally you cannot score runs. They're a funny ball club when it comes to that kind of stuff.
All in all, though, fun show, guys. I love the conversation about not trading Paul Skenes. I think we roundly hit that subject over the head. The bricks, I think we can finally put to bed. I think it would take way more than one big bad wolf to blow those bricks down again. It's over, right?
Well, yeah, and you know what made me happy is we had all these masonry experts on Twitter talking about how it'd be impossible to do that. You cannot take every brick, and this is such a worthless thing to even be talking about. Well, you know what? Shove one of those bricks up your, you know what?
Greg, thank you so much, man. Like, listen, next time Jim and I won't smoke a bunch of crack before we do the show because we were acting really scatterbrained. I'm sorry.
No.
We had a lot to get to.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had a good time and you can see past the hijinks and want to join us again because you were very thoughtful, more than we were. I appreciate it.
I had a blast. Thanks for having me. I had a blast, and yeah, I'd be glad to be on again. Be thrilled.
Do you want to plug your show that you work with?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I work behind the scenes for a podcast called Beyond the Game, hosted by Justin Coble. Check us out, Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere you can find podcasts. Much appreciated. We usually drop a new one every Thursday. I don't think we dropped one last Thursday, but usually every Thursday. And it can be Jose Canseco, Rick Dempsey. We've had on folks like that.
They've even had my dumbass on. So
And Gary Morgan.
just in case you thought they had standards or
Jeez.
something.
Jeez.
Seems to be one of our guests.
And I was gonna check the show out, but forget it now.
The Jose Canseco one was pretty cool.
You like that? Yeah.
He talked about some stuff that you got him to talk in a serious way. He usually doesn't do that. And
Right.
it was interesting, actually, like to hear him have some perspective on some things that I think a lot of people thought he was just a meathead about. So it is a really good show. I hope you guys do check it out. Yeah, that's all I got, Jim. How you feeling about the Donnie Kelly era? You ready for champions that he's going to bring?
I am. I'm glad you brought up the Mac Miller thing. Your homework assignment for both of you is to go listen to 2009 by Mac Miller with the studio released version of it, and get back to me.
All right. Before I do that, I'm going to go dig out my old Mr. Bucket from college that I used to keep next to my bed for when I got blackout drunk and puked.
Be respectful, Gary. Be respectful.
Anyways, enjoy your bobblehead, everybody. Yeah. No, good stuff. And let's toss it off to Ben and everybody. Do go check out that show. Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Let's go, Bucks!
Yeah, buddy.